Are we already living in a slow-motion apocalypse? Think about it for a second. Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and explore that exact question through the incredibly evocative, heavy, and just visually stunning surrealist art series by Canadian artist and designer Pierre Duranleau. Today, we're immersing ourselves in his latest body of work, appropriately titled Long Emergency. Throughout this journey, we're going to navigate some seriously deep, unsettling themes. Think slow-motion industrial decline, catastrophic environmental decay, and the frankly terrifying way modern technology is warping our very perception of reality. It's a wildly eclectic multimedia fusion that basically forces us to confront the creeping crises that define our contemporary world. It asks us to look directly at the very things we usually try so hard to just scroll past.
To truly grasp the atmosphere of Duranleau's work, we have to start with the mood. Just absorbed as haunting sci-fi poetic imagery drawn directly from one of his video pieces. Osmosis carried the excretion, born in the untimely sludge. It sounds like a desperate transmission from a doomed faraway planet, doesn't it? But here's the kicker. It's actually about us. This perfectly sets the stage for a world that is literally slowly drowning in its own industrial decay. It forces us to think about processes that started over a century ago during the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, and how those early engines of progress have steadily morphed into the toxic, unnatural environments we navigate today. Think about the microplastics floating in our water, or the invisible digital pollution of e-waste. That right there, that is our modern, untimely sludge.
And this brings us directly to the core intellectual and thematic anchor of the entire series. The title Long Emergency isn't just some dramatic phrase Duranleau invented out of thin air. It's explicitly drawn from author James H. Kunstler's thesis and book of the exact same name. See, when we picture the end of the world, we usually imagine a sudden, cinematic, Michael Bay-style explosion. Meteors, zombies, alien invasions. But Kunstler's reality is far more insidious. We are looking at the slow-motion collapse of post-industrial civilization. It's a grinding, everyday decline, triggered by peak oil, fragile supply chain breakdowns, rolling blackouts, human greed, and deeply unsustainable practices. This is absolutely crucial to keep in mind. The artist is showing us a collapse that is terrifying precisely because it's so slow, you might not even realize you're living through it until it's way too late.
So how do you actually build this apocalyptic vision? Well, Duranleau relies on a specific set of terrifying motifs, weaving our deepest societal fears regarding the energy crisis into this complex visual tapestry. We're looking at brutal clashes between raw, vulnerable nature and imposing man-made landscapes. We witness the toxic fallout of energy production manifesting as grotesque genetic mutations in wildlife, and even in human subjects. And intriguingly, he places all of this within liminal spaces. Those creepy, transitional, disorienting areas that just feel wrong, mixed heavily with themes of false flag operations and dark industrial mythology. It's a brilliant intersection, showing how our societal paranoia and our manufactured narratives perfectly mirror the biological and physical corruption happening to the Earth itself.
Imagine stepping inside the immediate, visceral fallout of this energy crisis. Picture cleanup crews standing deep within toxic industrial backrooms. The infrastructure surrounding them is brutalist, heavy, and visibly decaying. The lighting doesn't feel natural at all. It has this sickening, chemical ultraviolet glow that just permeates the entire scene. These figures, fully encased in hard hats and protective gear, seem entirely trapped. They are caught in a futile, endless cycle of managing rolling disasters. It's a masterful visual representation of a civilization perpetually teetering on the brink, desperately trying to mop up the inevitable leaks of a system that was fundamentally broken right from the start.
But the fallout isn't just confined to industrial backrooms, right? It bleeds out into the natural world. Duranleau grounds this horror using a raw, highly physical traditional canvas. The texture is thick and tangible, the colors are muted and earthy, and right in the center, standing on a forgotten back road, is a multi-headed deer with bizarre, geometric, almost antenna-like antlers. Because he uses techniques inspired by historical painting masters, the mutation feels incredibly grounded in a physical reality. It's not a digital illusion, yet it is a heavy, tactile symbol of profound environmental disaster that you feel like you could literally reach out and touch.
And here is where Duranleau's true intent comes into sharp focus. Take that earthy, physical painting of the deer, and now imagine it completely corrupted. This is his digital herb art variation of the exact same piece. Those grounded natural tones have been violently replaced by sickening radioactive greens, pixelation, and digital static. It represents a completely distorted, toxic landscape. Why do this? Well, Duranleau is directly challenging how digital lenses and manufactured narratives shape our perception of environmental collapse. Think about how we consume news of climate disasters today, mostly through the glowing, filtered, disconnected screens of our phones. The physical reality of the Earth is literally glitching and distorting before our very eyes through the media we consume.
On an even deeper level, the artist explores the terrifying irony of technological manipulation, where nature itself is subjugated and weaponized for convenience and profit. Think of a piece called The Great Disturbance. Here, Duranleau draws on the chaotic, apocalyptic traditions of historical artists like Hieronymus Bosch, but he injects it with a gritty sci-fi aesthetic. Imagine a chimera cyborg beast that is somehow serving as both a mobile forest Wi-Fi hub and a devastating military weapon. A soldier barely restrains it, highlighting the absolute futility of humanity trying to tame these organic, wild forces with technology. It acts as a psychological monster, actually much like the invisible beast in the 1950s sci-fi classic Forbidden Planet, which represented humanity's own destructive subconscious desires amplified by ancient alien machinery. It's the ultimate cautionary tale of our unchecked ambitions.
Now, understanding the impact of these images requires us to look at the method behind the madness. It's a process we can almost think of as a mad scientist's digital alchemy. First, Duranleau paints an original, physical, surrealist canvas using those tactile, historical techniques. Next, he captures a high-resolution scan of that physical artwork. Essentially, this is the exact moment the organic piece becomes digitally infected. Finally, he takes that digital file and aggressively applies a variety of 2D filters, harsh visual effects, and complex image mixing. By forcing the raw, tangible texture of historical painting to collide head-on with modern, chaotic digital tools, he creates a brand new, deeply unsettling visual language. Let's think about this alchemical transformation in action. Picture the heavy, dreamlike stillness of an original painting, a massive shipping container floating ominously over a decaying, industrialized landscape. It feels quiet, weighty, and physical. Now compare that to the corrupted, noisy data file it becomes after the digital filter is applied. The manipulation completely shatters the piece of the original canvas. Seeing them contrasted like this perfectly captures Kunstler's overarching theme. The physical world beneath us is slowly, quietly decaying, while the digital world we overlay on top of it is just a chaotic, noisy illusion that distracts us from the reality of the long emergency.
The neon, corrupted colors of these filtered versions simulate the terrifying blur between physical reality and manufactured narrative. Imagine a moody, grounded, undeniably terrifying scene of a worker in a hazmat suit standing in a corridor. But then, the digital variation explodes with chaotic, saturated colors and pixelated interference. It forces a deeply uncomfortable question onto us: which version is the truth? Are we looking at the actual boots-on-the-ground environmental fallout, or are we being fed a digitally filtered, highly curated false flag operation designed entirely to disorient and pacify us?
Duranleau pushes this disorientation to its absolute limit by playing with simulated invisible light spectrums. Think back to those workers in the industrial backrooms. One variation is bathed in a sickly, almost suffocating ultraviolet green. The other sears your eyes with a hot pink infrared scan. If you were trapped in that liminal space, which spectrum would you trust to guide you out? These dense, overwhelming visual transformations act as the perfect metaphor for the profound confusion of a civilization teetering on the brink. Kunstler's thesis reminds us that systemic collapse is inherently confusing from the inside. When the systems you rely on break down, you literally cannot trust your own eyes.
Ultimately, this eclectic collision of physical paint and digital static captures the agonizing slow-motion descent of our modern world better than any textbook ever could. Picture worker standing paralyzed before what looks like a fiery digital aurora borealis. The sky itself is glitching, pixelating, and breaking apart at the seams. It is a beautiful, tragic illustration of a world irreparably warped by greed, willful ignorance, and a dangerous obsession with technological dominance. True nature has been entirely replaced by manufactured illusions. The long emergency is no longer some distant theoretical future threat. It is the burning, glitching reality these figures are standing in right now.
Which brings us to the close of our explainer. Pierre Duranleau's series is a profound masterclass in using mixed media to confront massive, existential crises head-on.
It leaves us with a chilling reflection on our own daily lives, stripping away the filters to reveal the actual cost of our reliance on unsustainable systems and carefully packaged digital narratives. As the boundaries continue to blur between absolute physical truth and comfortable digital distortion, we are left with one vital question to really chew on. What untimely sludge are we currently using to build our own future? Thank you for exploring the depths of the long emergency with me. Keep asking the hard questions, and always look beneath the filters.